Sponsored by Reefdudes.
Starting a new tank, there's always lots of unknowns, lots of assumptions that turn into things that, maybe we shouldn't be doing. And we don't learn this till down the road. And I know every one of us has done it. We've all been there at some point in time. So we figured, we'd dig into some of the more common ones, or ones that we see come up that people just don't consider. Right up
the list could go on forever, but we're going to try shortening it down to the big ones and the major ones.
So I would love to get into this, nice and hot and heavy. As you can see, this is Reefdudes' tank, and he's given us our top 10 for his best tips. I created this a little bit with Reefdudes. I think that this is pretty cool. He has common creative license active, so I can use his videos to be able to show you guys these top 10 tips.
The big ones. Okay, so number one, first one, starting with the water you put into your tank, not using RODI water.
So normally beginners, for some reason, they just start with tap water and they don't use RODI water. I strongly believe, along with Reefdudes believes, that you should use RODI water to start off with, because you will reduce the algae problem.
Hauling water gets old really fast.
Oh, so bad. I was going to say, it's definitely one of those things.
I am not the strongest guy. Neither is most people in the world. Neither are beginners. I believe that you should use a hose to siphon the water out of your tank or into your tank with the pump.
Now on that, actually another one someone else recommended earlier, which kind of made me laugh, is for mixing salt, get yourself like a brute container or a big container rather than using multiple 5-gallon buckets. I just crack me up when I hear about, you have like 5 different buckets trying to mix at once. Get yourself one big barrel and work with that.
This is a really good one, Reefdudes. This one kind of goes with the one before. Is make it easier for you so you'll do it often.
Another one, refractometer.
Yes.
That's going to be a helpful piece of equipment to start with too as well. So
everyone
most people
always
want to save money, and they get the hydrometer.
$10 bobbers.
Yep, exactly. So refractometer is definitely going to be a useful thing that you're going to use from the very start of the tank and keep going on with it. So
oh yeah, for sure. Here's a refractometer that's actually pretty cheap, that's on the market right now. I strongly advise you to stay away from those hydrometers. Just a waste of money.
Oh, actually, someone else said this a minute ago before this one goes by. Not having a float shut-off valve on your RODI bucket. How many times have you overfilled and spilled on the floor?
Great advice, Reefdudes. My wife would be really mad if I spilled water all over her floor. Here's a float valve that's on your sump that actually works pretty well. Stops water from hitting the floor ever.
What are your thoughts on equipment for starters?
Okay. Actually, how about what are the essentials? Like, what are the basics that you'd want to get to start with?
So,
tank, stand, heater, protein skimmer, refugium light. Yeah, go ahead. Take your time with it. Make sure you plan this out right. These are your essentials.
Is actually testing your tank and doing it on a somewhat reliable schedule.
Yeah, that's what it dials down to. As a beginning reefer, the hardest thing I think to get in your head is how often you have to stay on top of the saltwater tank.
So for a saltwater tank, you really have to stay on top of it. I really agree with you here, Reefdudes, because sometimes I became a lazy reefer, and in the beginning I was really enthused about it, but then after that it was like, hey, my tank kind of set in, and I kind of set in. I forgot, and it definitely showed bad results.
So skimmers on a nano, aka 40 gallons or less, I honestly wouldn't bother. Just do your water change. You'll get more benefit than you will out of a skimmer. And the price of that skimmer is probably like a year plus a salt. So
that's also true. Skimmer's good.
I'm sorry to tell you, I kind of disagree with you here, Reefdudes. I believe the skimmer boosts the pH. And with the boost of pH, it definitely helps all corals, even zoas. I've seen algae even decline with higher pHs. So I kind of disagree here. But what I can say, this is your top 10 tips for beginners. So I may be wrong, but make sure you guys comment down in the comment section and let us know which one is right. I really feel that I may be right, but hey, this is Reefdudes' tank. It's looking really good. He's definitely got some acros in here, so he must be know what he's talking about.
To run it, that there's no right or wrong.
Yep. No, that's fair. As long as there's flow, your corals will be happy. So
exactly.
This is true, Reefdudes. But hey, I see you use the MP10s. They're looking very good and your flow seems to be working. Your coral down in the right, I think that's a lobo, but I am not sure. But to be honest, I would look at that and I think I'd use it as a monitor for flow. It looks like you have pretty good flow in here. Looks like your fish are liking it too.
Back to beginner mistake, adding too many fish too fast to your tank.
And too quickly too as well.
Exactly.
I mean, cycle
rules your tank, right? So it's all about the bacteria. And if you add a fish, you know, it starts to poop, make ammonia, and it takes a bit of time for your bacteria to grow and catch up to that. And if you add too many too fast, you're gonna overrun the bacteria essentially, right? So giving it time lets everything ease into it and makes for a happy tank.
So just so you know, Reefdudes did not stick all these fish in this tank at one time. Definitely took his time.
Help quick start and cycle a tank, but do you cycle with lights on or do you cycle lights off?
Cycle lights off, because the only thing you're growing while cycling is algae. If you do want your lights on, put them at like 2%, super duper low.
For a short period of time too as well, just to have them, but that's a bit.
What a great tip there, Reefdudes. But one other tip is you can focus on your refugium during this time and try to keep the nutrients suspended so then your refugium is actually eating the nutrients.
Quick question in the chat. Let's talk about wrasses and aggression or new ones hiding. So wrasses will generally, lots of wrasses will hide in the sand. And I've actually added certain wrasses to my tank and I haven't seen them for like a month. They literally just hid all the time until they're comfy. One day yells and he's like out and about and you see him.
Even I have done this and I end up pouting about the fish and he turns up later.
So how many people went, to the local fish store and then you see something new and shiny or some cool fish and you impulse buy it and you take it home and learn that it grows to 3 feet in your 20-gallon tank?
Do you know what this coral is? This is a high in acro. They cost a lot of money. If you impulse buy this, you will regret it because most likely it won't survive as a beginner.
Exactly. And it's always good to research how big a fish grows. I see lots of people get a fish and it outgrows their tank. So if you know you're going to upgrade your tank in a year, maybe you don't care and you're accounting for it ahead of time. But if you have a 30-gallon tank and all of a sudden you learn that fish can grow up to a foot, not the best plan.
So that can go for corals too, Reefdudes. But hey, these torches are looking very happy. I believe that these torches will win all wars. If you put them next to other corals, they may sting them.
What's the most common thing to fail in a tank?
I'm going with heaters.
I would agree.
You're on fire, Reefdudes. And that is a heater that can start on fire.
Another big one that I've seen too is not necessarily having jerk reactions to stuff. Because test kits, or you can have errors, like if you test your tank.
Keep all the great tips rolling, Reefdudes. Yes, if someone overdoses their tank because they did a faulty test, yes, that's a problem.
Exactly. And don't change like 10 things at once too, right? Because if something happens, you don't know which thing it was, right? So.
Exactly.
Yes, I strongly agree, Reefdudes. That is definitely the one to hit. Stability is key. It definitely is. I can see you're getting very good at success, and your coralline algae is growing in this tank really well because of the stability of the tank. I definitely agree with you, Reefdudes.
No, for sure. Now, you mentioned earlier, like if your corals are stretching and stuff to kind of gauge your light. So just to go into that one a little deeper, like zoas are a great one. If zoas have really long stalks and are stretching up, that means they're trying to get more light, which means they can use some more intensity.
Yes, your corals will tell you what they like and what they don't like. In this next photo, Reefdudes definitely did a good job paying attention to his zoas. They're nice and flat, and they're kind of bunched up in the clutters. I really like the way he's growing these zoas out. So thanks a lot for stopping by my channel, guys. I really appreciated doing this video, and I really appreciated and had fun editing Reefdudes' videos. I joined up a couple different videos to make this one, but I really do like a lot of the corals that he's grown in his tank, and he's definitely showing beginners how to do things on his channel. Make sure you guys go over there and subscribe to his channel, along with subscribe to my channel if you kind of like this video and you like some of the content that I have produced. Alright guys, I'll just leave the rest of this video with some of these corals for you guys to see as you're viewing.